Hello everyone, welcome to my full walkthrough of the A Flip of the Coin DLC for Batman Arkham Knight with no damage, no combo loss, and no restarts. It consists of 2 Predator encounters and 2 combat encounters. Of course, that's assuming you can even call the second Predator encounter a Predator encounter, given how one-sided it is and how little you can actually do to actually diversify that part. But anyway, we have this first Predator encounter right here, which is my favorite part of the DLC. And I'm going to take a very aggressive approach against the enemies in this Predator encounter. I'm sure with enough time you can find a consistent pattern where you can do nothing but silent takedowns, but it'd just be boring. And I feel like with the way the environment is set up, with the number of enemies you're dealing with, I feel it's complementary to a very aggressive playstyle. So what I do first is I do silent takedowns on the first 3 enemies, and then I do a fear takedown to take out those 3 enemies. And then right here, the timing should be just right, where that jammer guy will be right there, so you can use a shuriken from cover in order to knock him over, and then the second guy will appear. And then from here, the enemies are random. So that guy right there that's coming towards me, he normally comes from the top floor, but this time he's on this level for whatever reason. And he's coming over right now, so I'm going to do the corner takedown. Usually his friend will catch up, and I'll have to use the shuriken again. But right here, I'm able to do the corner takedown with impunity, and then this guy's walking away, so I'm just going to do the silent takedown. Or, correction, I'm going to do the knockdown smash, because I want the enemies to come to me right now. And 4 or 3 enemies will tend to not go for you. The rest of them will actually come for you right now. But this guy, this is another opportunity for a corner takedown. So there we go. And this guy, there should be one above me right now. Yeah, he's coming my way. And he's going to come down to that level where I just took out the guy. And then the rest of the enemies are easy to isolate. You see what I mean when I say this room just feels like it complements an aggressive playstyle? And it just makes the Predator encounter a lot more interesting. And did you see that just then? Why did my shuriken clip into the geometry? Regardless of what direction the camera is facing, it should always cause the shuriken to go in the same direction, but it clipped into the geometry for whatever reason. I mean, there's a soft lock on the enemy, so how did the shuriken clip into the geometry if there's a soft lock generated by the shuriken to actually lock on to the enemy? That is rather odd. But here's a medic. The medics are no problem whatsoever. And then we have these 2 enemies, which are random, and he's coming to investigate where I've taken out the medic, but I'm just going to knock him out with a shuriken. The enemies are stunned for quite a long duration from the shuriken, so this allows me to take him out very quickly. And then the rest of this DLC is kind of up to the game, because I restarted this DLC a couple of times because of the combat encounters. And some of the clunkiness present with the combat, some of the ways the geometry and the environment messes with the combat system, they definitely caused me to mess up, and I had to restart because of that. Like, I had one moment where I'm going to do a critical beatdown, but because Robin ended up clipping into an enemy as he was trying to zoom towards the enemy on the ground, I couldn't get away from 2 enemies attacking me simultaneously, so that's why I had to restart, and I included it in the blooper section. But there's just a lot of junk on the ground. There's a lot of enemies in these combat encounters, and they serve as obstacles in your ability to actually use the critical beatdown effectively. But that's what I have to say about the combat encounters and the Predator encounters. Here's the second one, which is not really a Predator encounter because it's just a very scripted sequence. And this DLC, there's this whole moment where Oracle is constantly telling Tim he can be so much better than Batman, and she says it right here where she says he's not him and that he can be so much better. And I don't know why this was not a central focus point with this DLC. And even if it was a central point with this DLC, the DLC isn't long enough for this theme to be capitalized on greatly. But this just builds upon my point that the DLCs just don't build off the ending of Arkham Knight very well. And they just feel like independent DLCs, not exactly contributing to anything substantial to really end the lore properly for Batman Arkham Knight. And this doesn't feel like Batman's legacy is being passed on to his allies in a way that's actually convincing. On that right there, make sure you do a silent takedown, and always make sure you blind that turret before doing the silent takedown. If you do the fear takedown, you will not gain enough momentum to get out of the conical view of these other 2 turrets. So by doing the silent takedown, I will not be in their field of view, and I can take him out and then take out this guy. But It's just, I really feel like the delivery of this whole message of Tim being better than Batman, or at least trying to be on the path to be a better hero than Batman, it should have been done a lot better, but because it's presented in this sort of challenge map format, and it has to be very similar to the other formats present with the DLCs, it just doesn't get enough of a spotlight to really capitalize on that theme, and it's really disappointing. Like, these DLCs really needed to do a lot better with their story content, and they should have been lengthy enough to really deliver substantial content, but they just aren't. And like I said before, the only fun part of this DLC is the Predator encounter, and then the story aspects just don't really go anywhere, and they're just quickly forgotten about. And we never even see this touched upon in any future DLC because they didn't release anything after these DLCs, aside from the Season of Infamy DLC, which only takes place during the events of Batman Arkham Knight, and not after the events of Batman Arkham Knight. And it's just pretty disappointing that Rocksteady decided to consider their story so throwaway and forgettable that they made the DLC so independent of the main story. And I do find the whole idea of his allies trying to be better than Batman and actually making Gotham a not-so-dark place is an interesting theme to touch upon. And I've talked so much about Batman's one-dimensional view on how he fights crime. And this could have been the developer's perfect opportunity to really challenge that dimension, to deliver something new with their characters so that they can actually do a lot better than Batman. But all it is just cleaning up the mess from Batman Arkham Knight, and that's really it. And nothing has changed about Gotham, nothing has changed about the villain's point of view towards Batman, or towards his allies. And his allies just feel so much like the cleanup crew after some kind of big incident, and they're the ones that are just trying to clean up the mess, and that's just not how you want to portray this. And why did the villains even break out? How is that possible? And it seems like these events that take place in the DLCs, they take place days after the events of Batman Arkham Knight. And, I mean, Batman put how many people in jail? And he managed to stop how many people from actually committing crimes? And they're still committing crimes to this day? And how is it that the Cloudburst didn't kill off more of these thugs? You know, like, there's so many questions that just really leave me so confused because they're trying to preserve that atmosphere that Batman is known for. And I guess to deliver some kind of content, they didn't bother straying away from that atmosphere, that darker atmosphere that Batman is known for. They didn't want to stray away from Gotham just being ridden with criminals, even after the events of Batman Arkham Knight, to give them some kind of excuse to build content, even if the content is insubstantial. It's stupid. It's really stupid. And it's all done this way because Rocksteady just wanted to be done with Batman Arkham Knight and the Arkham series, and they wanted to go on to other IPs, and that's what they're doing with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which, by the way, has been delayed to 2023. Yeah, no surprises right there, because Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it didn't get a lot of promotional trailers or anything, and it took quite a while for them to actually release a gameplay trailer, so if it's going to be that delayed, then it's no wonder why the game would get delayed to 2023. Oh, and also, how is it that Robin's shield wasn't able to withstand a pistol shot, yet he was able to withstand assault rifle shots and sniper rifle shots? I mean, the pistol is a smaller weapon compared to those other weapons, and it shouldn't generate as much force to cause Robin's shield to recoil, but apparently in Rocksteady's mind, that's not the case. That classic Arkham logic. But Two-Face is just going on about him not being able to do it all alone, and therefore Oracle is able to help him, and we are able to take out Two-Face. And that is the end of this DLC. And there should be 2 more DLCs after this one that I need to do, so stay tuned for those. Thank you all for watching, and you take care now.